Oh, goodness.
Congratulations on your win, Leontes.
Oh, man. Thank you.
Sounds like you're stressing out a bit.
Yeah, dude. Like, no, they were just, I was trying to get over some problems. Like, not even problems, but just shit that I should have done earlier in the matchup. And I had the read on Dragon Buster, like he was gonna dodge or just gonna block me. Or, I caught one of his blackjack dodges with the Dragon Buster, but it was still just, I needed to be more confident with the throws. I needed to really respect that he was just gonna turtle the entire friggin' time, and it got really tiring.
Walk me through the last few turns of that game 6. You had about a 50-point life lead. You had Enomiss at about 16 health, and he pulls it back to you at 11 and pulls out the poker flourish. What's going through your head about that point?
The next game, how I'm gonna, how I'm gonna recover from that, and I'm gonna stick Midori. I'm not gonna switch off of him. It was gonna be a game 7, Midori versus Lum for sure, but it was just all the stuff I had done throughout the course of the games was just Isaac's telling me to open my pack.
Hey, open it while you're here, so I can find out what's in it.
Okay. I don't want to blow the room up.
I see. I'll hold your spot. How about that? I'm holding your spot.
I think there we go.
So, 1 second.
But anyway, no, I was seriously just like, okay, this is over. And then I thought about it, and I was like, he could bust. He really could, and it happened. And for me, it wasn't even like a yay, it happened kind of thing. It was more like, goddamn, finally, that Lum doesn't get his way. And be able to just block me out for the entire game. Block like every freaking DQ, man. It was unreal how little DQ actually worked. And people tell me, when I was talking to Clan Natoy about this, I was telling him, I'm like, DQ is terrible in this matchup. It's just god-awful. Like, it just does not function for me. And he's like, what do you mean? It blows up everything but Queen. I'm like, dude, it always gets hit with Queen. It always gets blocked.
It seems like you had a pretty high success rate for those Queens, though. Like, I think 3 of them got blocked, but I saw quite a few that did sneak through. I saw a couple of glimpses sneak a few Queens in.
Yeah. Alright, so here's I'm gonna do my pack.
Okay.
It's Valerie 5 of clubs.
Okay.
Gloria 3 clubs. And then I actually got a foil, I guess you call them foil, King of Spades for Grave, which is kind of nice because I'm going to be playing a lot more Grave coming up in, next tournaments and...
Stream, you heard it here first. We're going to get Leontes Grave coming up. The mentor will be playing his student.
Yeah, and I got a Final Arbiter, or I guess the Gray Ace of Clubs, and a Satsuki Inscribed Golden 5.
Nice.
It's kind of weird, but that's alright.
So, were you expecting him to lead Lum instead of Midori?
Lum, 100%. I was ready for Lum. I trained against Lum. Me and Redless went over the Lum match a lot. I whispered Clan Natoy about Lum. I read Clan Natoy's guide on Lum yet again, like just going over everything in my whole mind. I was having nightmares about Lum. I was dreaming about the matchup. I knew that I wasn't going to be playing against Vendetta.
Okay, you didn't expect Vendetta at all for 0 games?
Not at all.
Okay.
I mean, I figured if anything, it would be a Game 7 switch.
Okay, so if he's down and we go to 3-3 and you win Game 6, he might go to Vendetta.
Right, indeed.
Okay. So, what was your initial game plan in the Midori versus Lum matchup? Because after he won Game 2, he sort of went on a tear, and for games 3 and 4, I think he took off a total of 9 points of health. And you were on pace Game 5 to win with him taking off 16 points of health, and then I think he found a second Joker and just went nuts attacking you forever.
Yeah. This seems to be a horrible trend of mine that, like, the longer a set goes, the less chance I have of winning it. And for whatever reason, like, I kind of want, when I play Midori, I expect people to either figure me out really quickly, or I just blow them up before they have a chance to come back in a set. And sadly, that's kind of my strategy. It seems to, like in this case, I actually got a perfect in Game 4?
Game 4, yes. Which was outstanding, by the way. I couldn't get quite as hyped because I'm still in my house, but I was, internally, I was yelling like crazy. Like, I'm pretty sure there was an air horn that blew, and no one knows why.
Yeah, no, it was the game plan was to not be afraid of his attacks. It's to know that in the early game, if he's got 6 cards and he lands like a 3 poke or something, nothing's happening. He might get aces off of it if he gets a really lucky draw, but typically you're gonna run into a queen. It's no big deal. You're gonna run into a jack. It's really no big deal. Um, you have to kind of let it roll off because that's kind of like the grappler life against Lum. As you know, like characters like Rook and Trock have problems with it. Midori though, I think he has more of a shot just because his blocks are so good and his end game is so good.
Mhm.
And the one thing that I was hoping to have happen in one of the later games was I landed a raw Final Dragon Buster. I didn't actually have any extra aces,
Mhm.
but I was hoping to suck a Joker out. It did not work. He bluffed me, but I don't know if he even had it. And then I think later on in that same set I dodged, and then he had the Joker that time, and that led to just multiple poker flourishes. Because if you actually let him blue burst you or rewind time you,
Mhm.
you're fueling his whole engine, and that's typically the hardest part about this fight in my opinion is you can build as much as he does, you can get quad aces and have tons of dodges and queens and stuff, but if he's holding 2 Jokers, you literally have to win like 4 combats to get Final Dragon Buster to work, and you might not have time. If you're dodging into a throw and there's 2 more cards for him, he's knocked down, he doesn't care, he's just gonna poker flourish you out. I lost like the games that I lost were literally poker flourish killing me, and either me being too timid to throw. There was a time in the very end, when I got down to like 3 cards because I just said fuck it, I'm just gonna just go ham on offense and try and take him out before my hand size is a problem. And I had a 9 and a jack and I think a Joker. And he ended up blocking that turn and I dodged with the 9, and I was so upset with myself that I landed a 9 throw earlier in the set, earlier in that match. But I just wanted it to be over. And what ends up happening to me in really long sets is I'll want it to be over, you know, way too much. And I do things like the set against Mercy where I almost beat him 4-0. I'm Trock and I dodge, and he has, the most face-up Joker of all time. And I just play straight into, I throw my Beast Unleashed away, and I end up, losing my whole hand and going off that. So I have this issue that I'm trying to work out of just trying not to see red so much, trying not to see blood, and trying not to, have some patience. Towards the end, I was able to do that and block out enough stuff to get a hand back. And when I drew the last Dragon form, I hope it was a 2 of diamonds.
It was the inscribed two. It was the inscribed dragon form. I made a point to mention that if you win with that dragon form, you're framing it.
Yes. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was the 2 of diamonds. I'm glad that it was. But then I just knew at that point that there was no reason for him not to expect a queen. I had I think only 1 queen in discard at the moment, and they were still coming. And if all he had to do, he might have even had it that turn. He might have already had the 10 to play Poker Flourish, but he didn't. He needed the time. He needed to block 1 more time, make it last a little bit longer, and then he would have gotten the last 11 damage out of me, and it wouldn't have been an issue, and we would have gone to game 7. But
so I'm noticing that he did fall into the Leonte's trap during the perfect of, I'm going to block with this 2, I'm going to dodge, I'm going to block with this 2 again, I'm going to throw in a no follow-up, and then secretly my hand is full of 90 points of damage. And,
yeah.
and then you went for it again in the game you almost destroyed him in, and then he felt, and then he sort of understood what was happening and hit you with like 5 poke and a queen.
Yeah, no, the 5 poke, like, there's so many times when I just wanted a queen. I just want a queen, and then I don't. I either throw or I block, and then here comes the crazy YOLO 5, and I'm like, dude, so much damage I lost in this entire set. Like, props to him for reading my queens, like, better than nearly anybody has this entire year, because, like, my queens have been really good to me this whole season, especially in the set against Razik in the playoffs, but I could not get them to work. Though I hit 1 queen into I think a poke or a jack, but I think if you watch the replay, it probably got like 10 of them blocked.
Maybe we should have that inscribed somewhere. Number of queens blocked, infinite.
Queen. I thought about buying boosters to try and get like a gold Queen of Spades or something, but.
And then we should get the stat where number of times Lum blocks it, just so you can corroborate your claims. You see, it says on the card.
Yeah,
Lum always blocks it.
It's just Lum. It's I don't know. It doesn't happen with most of the characters. I think it's just because of the fact that he can ace dodge it and he wants to just block all day, and he doesn't actually have to. Like, he never has to open up with an attack to push Midori off of him, and if he does, he can just use his queen.
Right.
So it's just a very difficult thing to get it in. Like I've dodged into queen in this matchup before, just out of like frustratingly needing to keep a hold of my kings. I don't know if you were paying attention or just noticed it the first few games, because I know hands were off. Sorry for that, but
It's no problem. I was actually able to mostly divine what was in everyone's hand, except for the game where you got the perfect, because again, you sort of bamboozled everybody into thinking your hand was atrocious. But I even mentioned on the stream, I think his hand's full of a lot of damage, and he's just trying to sucker Enomis into this.
Yeah, but I think there was the first few games I drew like no kings, and I was getting really upset about it.
Right.
Because in Dragon form, it's hard to pressure alum.
I sort of caught that when you did the normal throw and you lost Dragon form and he also hit with the Jack. I immediately said he probably just doesn't have a king, or he would have played it right there. And he thought that ace dodge was going to happen, and he can't do anything about it without normal throw.
Yeah, and I need to block more, I think, in Dragon form, because it's like Lum isn't interested in throwing me, and he doesn't really seek to gain a whole lot of it. And like I don't really worry about getting thrown by Lums, but the problem with the Lum grappler fight is that he's content to go block with you as much as you are afraid of throwing him. So it takes a lot of guts. You know, I had a 9 throw in the last game that I had to play it. You know,
the one where Thilo was, I'm pretty sure, scratching his Canadian head.
Yeah, no, and you know it's a precious dodge. You know, I only have so many, and I need them. You know, I have to get around queen somehow. But the thing that sometimes you just can't let Lum build, and even if it means using a glimpse, a 10 throw, you know, you got to do it. You got to keep his hand size down. You got to keep him afraid. You have to keep him realizing that you're not gonna just, I might have even had more throws. You know, who knows? That might have been a bluff. I do that a lot too.
All right, a couple more questions for you.
Yeah.
So, I'm assuming you're going to be commissioner of the West League again for IYL3. Outside of that, what are your plans for Yomi tournaments in the near future, next few months?
I did say in the thread that I'm going to take a short break. The Fantasy Spec Expo is coming up. I am going to go to that. That's June 5th through the 7th. I'll probably play in whatever tournament that is. But I realized kind of I'm at a crossroads now, because I realized that I'm kind of a one-trick pony when it comes to this game. Like, I really am only good with one character. And it's not that Yomi's that difficult of a game that it's too difficult to pick up other things, but you played a lot of casuals with me.
Right.
Maybe I'm a much different player in casuals and I'm not as effective. But, anyone can just pick up Grave and play him. Anyone can just pick up Manelker and play him. But I really want to spend some time in serious matches against serious players, trying to develop other characters other than Midori. I feel comfortable and confident whenever I pick up the character, when I pick up Midori, and I'm never afraid of anything, no matter how bad the matchup is. If it's Geiger, if it's Lum, if it's DeGray, I don't care anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten past that. I'm tired of trying to blame him for my losses and just realizing that, hey, I'm not blocking enough. Hey, I'm not throwing when I should. Hey, I'm letting them build. Like, it's my own mistakes that are causing me to lose. But when I play other characters like Grave and Manelker, I have their game plan kind of downloaded, and everyone else does too, and it makes me very, very obvious and makes me really easy to beat. So I want to try to round out my character roster so that I'm not so Geiger vulnerable in the future, and that's kind of what that is.
So this sort of leads into, I guess, another question, and before my last one then. What's your thought on the so-called counterpick carousel, which I think is what traditionally right now is? You lose Trock versus Zane, so then you switch to... you lose Zane versus Trock, so you switch to Geiger. You lose that matchup as Trock, so you switch to Manelker. You lose that matchup as Manelker, so you switch to Zane, and it goes on, right? What do you think? Do you think the metagame will actually devolve into that, or do you think we'll see more character specialists like yourself start to place higher?
Well, I think as you've demonstrated in casuals with me, is that Valerie does well against that entire lineup. So I don't think it's that big of an issue. I think there's a lot of players who do it. There's a lot of players who use it. As a result, that was why I was learning. I mean, you don't have to learn Trock. You just kind of play Trock.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're a grappler at heart, you can just switch to him and just be enamored with all of his tools and how everything just works properly. But I'm trying to learn Manelker for that reason, so that if I have to engage in that, I'm capable. But ultimately, I find that I like Midori against all those characters except Geiger. But if I can learn the Geiger fight, I can escape the entire thing. And in my opinion, when you're counterpicked, like in this case here, when when someone goes Lum against Midori, which I don't think, I don't think any of the Midori matches are as bad as people say, and that's my own, maybe I'm ignorant or naive about it, and optimistic that anything can happen in this game. But I feel like there is sort of a degree of mental guard crush that does occur when someone loses to you, switches to Geiger, gets perfected. Like, okay, that was my backup plan. Now how do I deal with this Midori? Now I don't know what to do. Do I go back to Zane? Do I go back to, the Gray? What's the plan here? And as long as I can just crush everything that my character can deal with, it's not too big of an issue. And as we've seen in, like, the Clan Natoi version 1, Midori is unanimously, bottom tier character, like worst character in the game because the meta was so Grave oriented.
And Jaina.
Yeah, Grave, Jaina, Lum, Arg, all these characters did really well against him, and he still managed to beat, many, many players and become the FSOCL champion. So he's been the main inspiration to me. I'm gonna have to give him a shout out because I always tell him, he probably thinks I'm super weird for being such a fanboy of his, but I'm playing the new and improved Midori and being really successful at it. I can only imagine how hard it was for him. And so just seeing that, and half the characters who are in that new meta they weren't even around in version 1. But anyway, my opinion on the carousel is, we had this double blind tournament today, and I didn't really follow too much of it, but I don't know how much of the problem it actually solves.
I saw a lot of... It seemed like a lot of lopsided wins. Whoever won game 1 seemed to like just win all the time. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
And the thing the problem that I find is you end up with situations where, this is a game on reads. This is a game about characters with different playstyles. This is the sort of thing where if I play Midori a bunch of times, and this might be why I'm so unsuccessful in the best of 7, when I can't close it out in 4 games, is, if you're switching characters like crazy, I have to learn how to read you every single step of the way. And, you just have to deal with my Midori. This might put me at a disadvantage if I'm not constantly changing characters, so like I'm kind of maybe prepping for a new meta where I might need to.
Right.
As there's more players keep on joining the server. The Steam release has been pretty big, and there's still lots of players. I think there's tons of games on right now. Like usually, it's never this full. So I'm just trying to be more well-rounded. But I don't know. I don't think that counter picks really are the end-all be-all of the meta in this game. I think that people just need to grit their teeth and fight through them. Everyone, the N Tillermans and the Deluxes of the world will tell me I'm wrong. But it just, I don't think it's, you win game 1, you win a best of 7 because of the carousel. I don't think that's true. You see Zane's getting, destroying Trox all day. You see Geiger landing a TD combo on Manelker and blowing him up. It's just if people feel comfortable in those advantage matchups, they're going to switch to them. My goal has always been feel comfortable with Midori against everyone, never have to switch, terrify people, with just being a really strong character specialist, and you should be fine.
And I guess my last question then, and then you can give shout-outs, like, besides Clan and Toy after this one, what advice would you give both to people who are picking up the game and wanting to pick up Midori in particular, and to anyone who plays Yomi who wants to become the IYL 3 Yomi Ball champion?
I would say, like, maybe practice, persistence, learn your matchups, play the things that you're least comfortable with. If you want to play Midori, fight Geigers, fight the best Geigers, find the best Geigers out there and play them. Find the best, in my opinion, Arg is actually a bad matchup for Midori. I was a little worried about that happening today. Find the matchups that don't look at the matchup chart. Just pick a character that you feel like you jive with, and find out on your own. Explore, play all the matchups you can, and learn from us. Like, we're all here to help you. Like, everyone who is a veteran in this game has been here for me to teach me things, and I'm here to teach them things too. It's a community of learning, and it's a community of development, and that's, to me, it's like the most enriching online community I've ever been a part of. But just don't be afraid to get out there and quick match. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to play Jaina. Don't be afraid to play BBB or Midori or anybody. Just get in there, see what works for you, see what doesn't, and then the things that don't work, find a way around them. And that's the only real, that's the only real advice I can give to anybody. And if you have any Midori questions, I'm always here. And Clan Natoi has asked me to write a guide. I guess maybe I feel like I might have the credentials.
You have the credentials now for sure.
To possibly do that, and look for that in the future. But yeah, just keep playing, have fun. Try to enjoy yourself when you lose, and make sure that every loss is a learning experience. Every lost match, every lost combat is, think about why. Think about the decisions that you made. Don't look at your character's limitations. Just figure out, how could I have done things differently? Did things I do in the early game condition my opponent to play a certain way? Did I run myself out of certain options before I needed them? There's so many elements and depth to this game that you just got to get your feet wet, get your hands dirty.
Got any shout outs to give to anybody in particular?
Oh, of course. Merciful Fate, Hydro, you guys are my boys. San Diego Yomi. Razik for being just an amazing, he's such an amazing player that makes you play your absolute best every time you play against him, and he really brings that out of a lot of people, because I think he's just such a strong player, and he never seems to let up on you. He always gives it his all, and I love that about him. And I don't care, losing 10 games straight to him. I'll always have fun, and I'll always enjoy it, and I always have something to learn. I have, I'll just say your name, Mad King, for the constant beatdowns in casuals, and just teaching me a lot about characters that I'm unfamiliar with. Just your reads are just so insane that I have no words. Quince, man, respect.
He's a jerk like that.
Yeah, Clanatoy for being the original Midori, the original Mentor Dragon. Just LK404 and Enomis for repping the low tier and never giving up. CKR for, just starting the International Yomi League and letting me be a part of it. There's just everybody who was involved with IOL. Just anybody who played, anybody who stuck it out, even when they were 0-10. Everybody who made it good to get their matches scheduled and just be available and keep this community going. Because like I was saying in chat before the match started, this game, basically, this is like a new release for us. Steam has opened up so many new avenues for us to spotlight this game, and now is the time for us to be as hyped as we can, to run as many awesome tournaments as we can, to participate as much as possible. And if anybody is like me and doesn't quick match, get in there. Make people realize this is a game worth playing. It's a game worth being good at.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Lantis. Congratulations again on your victory.
Thank you.
We hope to hear more from you in the near future.
Indeed. Thanks, man.
No problem. Have a good night.
You too.
Alright, everybody, that was the Yomi Bowl champion, Leontes. I want to thank everyone who tuned in for tuning in. I look forward to me putting stream content in the future. I'll try to get more of the top players in Yomi onto this stream. Please follow the stream if you enjoyed it. If you didn't enjoy it, let me know, and then follow anyway, because I will make it better. Thank you again. We'll see you all later. Have a wonderful day. This is the Mad King, signing off.